is enough as it is. Help me out. Doing a little something different for you guys tonight. Got a couple songs I've been working on, a little project that I'm doing, and Mike's following around. The first song I'm going to do is, there's not much, there's nothing coming out of here in the monitors, but yeah. Okay, we'll make it work. A little bit. First song I'm going to do, a good friend of mine asked me to write a song. Since we're here local, we're the Virginia people, Virginia, DC, Baltimore, Greenbelt people, PA. A good friend of mine asked me to write a very serious song. Her mom used to work very tirelessly helping battered women. And she wanted me to write a song about it, and just about the subject. And it's a hard subject for me because I lived through this with a close family friend, close family member. And I didn't want to write it, and I told her no, and then I found myself the next morning, wrote the whole thing just about. And that's how that goes for songwriters. So it's called Better Life. Calm down out there with the YouTube people. I see you.
A better life is all she'd like. A real man to help raise her child with such a smile. What done go wrong? Let's start this life. Let's start that wrong. Why we huddle here in this room now, baby? Why does it feel him all consumed? Why is something so perfect yet end up wrong? Is this the cost of a better life? Is this the cost of a better life?
It's really my great pleasure to have this opportunity to recognize the groundbreaking work that Brother Abdul-Rasheed Muhammad has done. He is our first Muslim chaplain in the U.S. military. He's the highest ranking Muslim in the U.S. military. But beyond all of that, he has been such an example of dignity, compassion, persistence, and wisdom to our community. He has served in very difficult times and the most challenging places, and he's always done so with a sense of humor, balance, wisdom, and mercy, which is the prophetic model. So I'm deeply honored to be able to recognize him today with this small token of appreciation, and I know that all of his chaplain brothers and sisters are here to cheer him on.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أجمعين أما بعد. I accept this token of appreciation on behalf of all of my soldiers, many of whom are in harm's way even as we speak. Over the last 15 years, the Islamic Society of North America has been the foundation from which I've been able to do the ministry that God Almighty has called me to do. It has been with your help, your support, your prayers that I'm standing here today. My wife and I and my family are very grateful for every Muslim in America. And we pray that you will continue to be supportive of your sons and daughters who continue to serve our nation with honor and dignity. May God's peace be with all of us, and our prayers is that you will have an excellent convention. Assalamu alaikum.
I have a different 9/11 story. Brace yourself, because this country is in desperate need of help, and I don't want you to hear these words. I want them to be felt. You see, it all started when a powerful man decided that he wanted to pump some lies into the minds of the misguided, so he knocked some towers down. Caused the deaths of thousands in a town, and people in this society have been brainwashed to support this clown. He blames it all on his man, and he swears he can't find out. It's absurd. And I'm speaking the truth when I say these words, so please don't believe all of the lies you've heard. It's not in a Muslim's nature to be silent. In Islam, peace. So how can it promote violence? Men were arrested and tortured just because they had long beards. And anybody who looked foreign was harassed and feared. Women scared to wear their scarves outside because of the anger people feared. But they took it a step further. I saw this woman screaming for help because there was a man trying to hurt her. While he was standing on the corner, he tried to run her over. This wasn't a scare tactic, y'all. It was attempted murder. Police ran into a man's house, beat him down in front of his kids, and after their blows stopped, reality hit him. Democracy was never his. He was humiliated. His freedom culminated all because he was thought to be a terrorist affiliated. But who's a real terrorist here? Because terror is a state of intense fear, and it's usually invoked by what you see or what you hear. And is one that advocates the way you behave, a different form of being enslaved. So do me a favor. Think about the rulers of America and how we should be saved. If your family was receiving threats, you will pull your weapons out too. And if a man doesn't fear death, it makes you think he'll fear you. Especially if those threats are coming from those who are supposed to protect and serve you. See, when I travel, I pay this fee to be 9/11 protected. But my last name is Muhammad, so let me tell you how I'm affected. As security, they tell me I've been randomly selected. So I have to step to the side so I can be personally metal detected. And then I hear these words, miss, you must remove your scarf. So now it's me versus security. Let's see who has the most heart, because I replied, you will have to find something else to do. Because my scarf is like my clothes and it will not be removed. And my position will forever be unmoved. And there's about to be some real problems, because I don't know what you're trying to prove. So she called for backup, y'all. She called her whole crew. Miss, if you don't allow us to see your hair, we can't allow you to pass through. So I missed my plane 7 times. And if I can press rewind, I missed it 100 times, because if they thought I was taking my stuff off for them, they had clearly lost their mind. And one day I was at the gas station. He looked this white boy said. He looked me in my face and he called me a raghead. And I didn't want to hurt him. I just wanted to make sure that him and his friends would never disrespect another Muslim again. So he apologized when he got up from off his back. But it was too late for that. I mean, he knew that I was Muslim, but I guess he forgot that I was black. So that's my 9/11 story.
There is a current religious organization that I'm actually trying to pattern us after, but this is the Muslim version. And that's the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. They've been around for over 40 years. And they're headquartered out of Kansas City, Missouri, which is my hometown. There's where I got the inspiration. They are doing tremendous work. And this is where I want to get our association to that level. So if you want to see where I'm trying to take us, click on to FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and just look at their website. And when you look at it, you'll say, we need that for Muslims. So that's what we want to do. Exactly, I am working with the MSA chapters, because it doesn't make sense to remake the wheel when they already have membership and they know who the athletes are on their campus. So we're definitely trying to partner with them. But we also want to partner with MENA for the athletes that are in high school and the high school and elementary age children.
When I was young, I went to the community centers and just tried to do it all. I would just, join all the little sport teams and just, I don't know, I played soccer. Soccer was it. I joined all the little soccer clubs when I was young, the summer programs. I don't do anything now because I'm in off season, so I'm, but I play soccer and basketball.
My concern is just to keep them active.
Yeah, anything. They can do it all.
Nothing.
We can do it all.
To the sister, when you first joined the teams, my daughter's like very much into basketball, wants to do club sports and stuff. She's on the shy side. What kind of questions did you get from your teammates about your job and
all of them? You get all the questions, even ones that didn't even make sense. Like, are you related to Osama bin Laden? I'm like, yeah, that's my uncle. Like, you get all possible questions. Or don't they pull your sock off? I'm like, no, because I have a pin and I have it tucked in, they're not going to do that. Aren't you hot? You get all those questions. And I just, if they give me a stupid question, I'll just, brush it off and give them a crazy, funny answer. But you get a lot of questions.
what would you explain to them about the religion and like why you were doing it?
Absolutely. The reasons why I cover, and I let them know I'm athletic, so I'm going to do it. And just let them know the reasons why you're covering, why you're doing these things.
The Muslims don't live that impression. You went through just like anybody else, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him that after a while he developed a self-confidence that I'm not trying to fit in with these people. I can't fit in anyway, so I'm just going to be myself. And it takes a while before people start to accept that. At first they think he was fake, come on. I remember one time I was talking to Clyde Drexler, which played with, and he said, "Your brother, he's very funny, brother. He's very funny because when we travel to different cities, everybody come with a superstar to come pick them up. But your brother, we always see people short and fat with a big belly. So who are those people? We don't know who they are." I said, "Those are his brothers." So well, that's strange. So you're gonna find out that you face just like anybody else. But once you're fake, you understand who you are, and you're not trying to be like anybody else, then inshallah, that's what Allah will give you the tawfiq, and they'll leave you alone, or at least respect you. But you have to be consistent in your ways and don't keep compromising that and compromising that. And if you do that, then you lose respect. Especially in this country. If you're strong, there are people who respect. It's very important for Muslims to know that fasting is a sacrifice. That's what, because the stronger your faith is, you find those things doesn't bother you. I mean, if you look at the history of Islam, most of this war that was fought in Islam was fought in the Ramadan. And I don't know if you have been to Saudi Arabia, it's very hot over there. And this would be a winter over there going in Saudi, to be compared. So once you put in your mind that this is a sacrifice and you're doing it for the sake of Allah, and once your faith is strong, you find out that it's a mindset. Like I said, my brother, his point is to elevate during Ramadan. And when I asked him, he told me the same thing. He said, mindset. Once you get strong in something, don't bother you. So just be strong about it and know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you, and you will go through it, inshallah.
Y'all ready? Alright, y'all gotta listen. Look, so I've been thinking about everything you said, and I just can't seem to get you out my head, because even though I know I told a bunch of lies, when I get caught, I do apologize, because I want you to know that I really don't mean to do it. Sometimes I just get mad when I go through it. I know you understand, just give me one more chance, but you know
is Hollywood doesn't deny talent. Bring us your talent. Bring us new and original stories. And I think that that is not an exaggeration on any level. Because that's the reality. If you've got a story to tell, if you've got talent to bring to the table, your talent speaks for itself. And there are already more Muslims in Hollywood than you might expect. Among the most prominent voices, I would say, is a man named Cameron Pasha, who's a screenwriter and who wrote for, has written for many shows, wrote for Showtime's Sleeper Cell, and then made the leap to the NBC show Kings, which is on now. There are also senior executives at the Creative Artists Agency. The owner of one of the artist representation agencies is rumored to be a Muslim. Whether practicing or not doesn't really matter to me. It just means that they're open-minded. We also have actors like Omar Metwali, who was featured in Rendition and in Munich and in many other films, who was pushing the envelope and pushing in new directions. And finally, we have some really mainstream hits like Mos Def, a hip-hop artist, an actor, and a gifted artist all around. So what I urge for us today is that we embrace these opportunities. How many aspiring Muslim artists are in the room today? I urge you, first of all, to connect with us, because part of what we are doing at MPAC's Hollywood Bureau is trying to nurture Muslim talent, trying to create opportunities for you to interact with senior executives in Hollywood and give you the opportunity to, hand your tape in, so to speak. We can't hand it over for you, but we hope to create avenues through which you can do your job. And avenues to open more doors in Hollywood so that they are more receptive to that message. And in the meantime, we make the commitment to you that we will keep pounding the pavement in Hollywood. We in our Los Angeles office can see the Hollywood sign from our window. So we spend a lot of time, Fatima specifically spends a lot of time pounding the pavement, trying to make our presence known. Because what we find when we go in to talk to people is not that they say, here come these advocacy groups again. What they say is, we didn't know you were here. Where have you been? And if that's not a reason to hope and to plan for change and to get invested and involved, I don't know what is. So at this point...
You're familiar with Little Mosque on the Prairie. Oh wow, okay. It's a good thing that YouTube exists, huh? And how many of you have followed it right till the end of 3rd season? Cool. So we are presently shooting 4th season, and inshallah we will debut, for those of you who do follow it quite closely, the first episode of 4th season will premiere Monday, September 28th. We've got 18 shows in the can for 4th season, alhamdulillah, and if our ratings hold, we will keep going. Now for those of you who are curious about the show and how it came into fruition, I'm Canadian, and we have a network in Canada called the CBC, and I guess the closest network in America to that would be the PBS. So this is a network that is funded primarily by taxpayers, so they have a mandate to represent the regionality, the diversity of the country, but like PBS, their ratings tend to be very low, and every year there's a great debate of why taxpayer money is being put into this institution if no one's watching the shows. So it was incredible when the ratings came in for Little Mosque on the Prairie. It sort of, they hadn't had ratings like this, and I think since Anne of Green Gables. I don't know if you guys have heard of that show. That was made 15 years ago. So literally 15 years later, as the debate in Canada continued, why are we, pouring money into this institution, suddenly there's record, the entire world is watching the show, they get record ratings, and the debate suddenly ends as to why we should have this network in the country, because suddenly they have this show that can compete with American Idol and House. The greatest challenge as Canadians is America when it comes to cultural programming. It's very, very hard for Canada to make original programming and get Canadian eyeballs away from American television shows to watch our Canadian-made shows, because we don't have the millions and millions and millions of dollars that Hollywood has to promote Canadian television shows. And as you know, it's so expensive to make to make any type of television that if you can't get the ratings, you can't justify that television show to be on the air and you'll be canceled. So it's very hard for us to get, as Canadians, to get television shows the ratings necessary to maintain them. So ironically, the one show that got the ratings in Canada was a show about Muslims, and it was the incredible media curiosity that we got from around the world, particularly from the United States. And we had, CNN, the New York Times, we had this, all the media was writing articles and doing stories about us that the Canadians started to pay attention and go, hey, what's going on? Why is the rest of the world paying attention to us? We want to see what's going on. So they all watched the show in record numbers, and alhamdulillah, because the ratings continue, it has to, not just for the first episode, but it needs to be continuous for the rest of the season. And we were really fortunate that the quality of the show, the quality of the writing, the quality of the acting, the quality of the directing was maintained, and we kept our audience, and we were able to go on now to our 4th season. So it's been an incredible journey making this show. And I was really glad, I think, when I first came up with the idea that I didn't know what would happen, because I think it would have been too overwhelming at the time. Because it was very sort of an innocent idea when someone said to me, I was going to a television festival in Banff, and someone said to me, you should create a television series to pitch at this television festival. And I had no idea how to pitch a television series, and someone said, well, write what you know about. What do you know about? And I said, well, I know about the mosque. I grew up in the mosque community, and those were the elements that were most familiar to me. And so I came up with this idea about what would it be like to live in a mosque that was run by an imam who was born and raised in the same culture that I was, which was Canada. So I came up with this idea of an imam who was a lawyer who gave up his law his law career in Toronto because he felt in his heart that he had a different calling. He had a calling to be an imam. So the only job he could get was this, little tiny mosque in the middle of the country, this broken down, underfunded mosque that couldn't afford to pay the imam anything. Familiar story. And so he had to, agree to give up money and prestige and his career to become what he felt was part of, his community. And so he became the imam of this little tiny broken down mosque. And this was the dynamics in the mosque where the women and the young people thought that he was there to champion their cause, and the older immigrant men were like, is he even Muslim? Where's his beard? What kind of imam is this? Is he a woman? We can't tell, And so I thought it would make a really hilarious television series about my, from the experiences that I had grown up with in the mosque, as a sitcom, the daily, adventures of this imam trying to hold his community together, and then add post 9/11, and I threw in like a right-wing radio host who was like my Rush Limbaugh. It's funny because every time people watch the show, they're like, oh, "Is he based on this guy in my town? He's just like him, right?" And it clearly resonated with a lot of people. So all these sort of archetypes of people in the community, the rebellious teenager who doesn't want to wear hijab, the Muslim feminist, or the doctor, the Muslim female matriarch who runs her own business and is a single mom and very strong in her own right. Sort of the very strict, father who believes everything he says is right, but he has the rebellious. He's a single dad raising his rebellious teenager. So I sort of created all these sort of. I think there's like 6 or 7 main Muslim characters, and each one, because I had the luxury of so many Muslims, each one had a different take on their practicing of Islam. And then we had the non-Muslim town, and the right-wing host and the mayor of the town who was trying to broker peace between the Muslim and non-Muslim community. And the show had the right elements at the right time, because there was so much curiosity around the world about Islam and Muslims. And as Edina was saying, there was nothing. We came in a time when there was a vacuum. The only media images of Islam and Muslims were the extreme sort of images that we would see in films or news reports. The Muslim man as a terrorist, or the Muslim woman as the oppressed Muslim woman being beaten in a cave somewhere. And so this show was the first show that showed Muslims as just ordinary people doing ordinary things, being fathers and mothers and daughters, and sort of just goofy people in society doing their thing. And I remember a Danish journalist called, and I said, why are you so interested in the show? And he goes, you don't understand. This is the first time we've ever been exposed to a normal Muslim ever in the media. We had never seen this before. And I was like, wow, and just just the fact that it was so new, it was radical, because the show was never meant to be edgy or, you know, cutting edge. It was just meant to be the middle of the road average sitcom that your family could watch. And what Edina was saying, that people were so desperate for something new and fresh and original, but still done in a very, you know, it's a sitcom. It's essentially a single camera sitcom, very similar to sitcoms that you've seen on television, except they happen to be Muslims. Like that's what makes it edgy. So, you know, we premiered to incredible numbers. We've kept our numbers, alhamdulillah. We've just finished shooting the 4th season, and we will air in September. And I guess the advice I have for young people out there is this is definitely the time to be going into film and television. There is an audience, and there is a need, and there's a curiosity. And since the success I've had with the show, you know, every year I go to LA and I pitch television series to network executives. And so far, you know, every year I've been able to make a sale of a show that has Muslims in it. You know, I haven't been able to get past the pilot stage. But the fact that I can sell, you know, within minutes tells me that there's this need and there's a curiosity that they want to make the first Muslim American sitcom that will succeed. And they're just, you know, waiting for the right idea. And so and when that happens, they will be looking for Muslim writers. So this would be the time, you know, to start, you know, if you want to be a writer in Hollywood, then this would be the time to start writing your spec scripts, taking courses, getting an agent, because there's going to be opportunities that are coming, you know, around the horizon, and people will be looking for Muslim writers. So this if you wear hijab as a Muslim woman, then you will be limited to only roles with hijab, right? So that's the actress who plays Ryan on our show. She's actually Christian, she's Anglican. So that's, we can show her at home without her hijab, because Muslim women don't wear hijab at home, and we have to show that, right? And so I remember some Muslims were like shocked, like, oh my God, she's not wearing hijab at home. I'm like, yeah, but non-Muslims need to know the rules that Muslims follow, so we needed to hire a non-Muslim, or at least a Muslim who wouldn't have an issue with that. And so that does pose a challenge to what, you know, so if you're a Muslim woman who believes in wearing hijab in front of, you're not a man, then it would be an issue. If you're a Muslim man who, for example, if you needed to touch someone, you couldn't do that in a show, then yeah, it would limit you to certain roles that you could do. So then I wouldn't recommend those types of jobs unless you're willing to go into certain, it would be very difficult to get leads or major characters because you couldn't play certain roles. It would be easier, I would say, to go into writing, directing, producing, behind the scenes. Like, I mean, for example, myself, I could never be an actor in my own work because, you know, I don't do those sort of things. So thus it's better for me to be a writer, creator, director, producer behind the scenes. So if you have those restrictions, which I do myself, then my recommendation is to become someone who's the more creative force behind the product, because if you become an actor, there are, you know, going to be issues that will be problematic if you have certain, you know, if you believe in certain things in terms of your interaction with the opposite sex, which will be too difficult, I think, to accommodate in most films and television.